this little book. Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
We wrote this little book called 1889 Journey to the Moon. Now, this is a steampunk novel. So, if you want to hear all about it, we'll talk all about it right now. And afterwards, you would be welcome to speak with us at the table. We'll sign books for you. And I'm going to read to you just real briefly the back of this book, okay? 1889 Journey to the Moon. It's 1889. 11 people are on a strange steam-powered anti-gravity spaceship to the moon. Included in the crew are such unlikely passengers as Billy the Kid, Nikola Tesla, Jack the Ripper, a Sioux warrior out for the blood of George Armstrong Custer, who did not die at the Little Bighorn, a Cossack warrior princess, a battery of robots, a half-man and half-cyborg engineer, a Punjabi mathematician and linguist, a big game hunter from Africa, and the great-grandson of Blackbeard the pirate, not to mention the genius who designed the ship. There are aliens on the moon with evil intentions. The robots are wound a little too tightly, and no one knows that the Ripper is along for the ride except the Londoner himself. What could possibly go wrong? So, all right, you want to hear an excerpt from the book real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. Well, did you want to go first?
Since mine's 4 years.
Okay. Billy Kring.
These are two passages. They're real short, but they're concurrent. So I'm going to read this one first to lead into this. And this will be when Billy the Kid, who's going under the name Billy Gospel, non-big film, if you want to call it that, is in the town, Colorado Springs, where the ship is getting ready to take off. He wants on it. So he's, I'll take it from here. Once in town, he leaned against the wall of the mercantile and watched the Zeppelin lift above the walls. As a crew peered over the edge of the frigate dangling below, projectile-shaped gas field ascending. Painted in shamrock green letters on the side was Bonnie Gray. Billy knew this old ship and her owner, for it was the airship of Irishman Sean O'Bannon, a drinking friend. Billy said to himself, if the woman won't pass Fort Lee, I may have another way. The huge gate opened at that moment, and Billy caught a glimpse inside the compound. There was a bustle of activity, and nobody was going to walk in uninvited. Two enormous bearded men guarded the gates, armed with the newest Velociter Magnus rifles. The brass and copper shone on the weapons as if newly forged, and the multiple barrels looked as deadly as a dozen spitting cobras. No, sir, Billy thought. I won't be charging in there, all bravado and horns and pawing the earth. At that moment, the woman emerged from the compound. Billy stared, then caught himself and tried not to look directly at her. This was a female of heroic proportions, not some frail waif or one prone to the vapors in moments of tension. Her bare arms and shoulders were muscular, but not manly by any measure. She was dark-haired and olive-skinned and carried him in far-off places. The brass-studded brown leather corset showed a trim body. She wore no blouse under the corset, and the tops of her bosoms were full and high. A small pistol rested on the front of her right hip for a crossdraw, and Billy realized she was left-handed. A brass cylinder, maybe a foot long, hung by a leather loop from her belt. Billy thought it might be the strange light lantern he had seen her use. His eyes continued down and saw that her slim canvas pants disappeared in the tops of black knee-high lace-up boots. As she walked closer, Billy could see she was 2 inches taller than he was. He couldn't see her eyes because of the brass goggles. She pulled a folded paper from her pocket, pushed the goggles up on her head when she was 2 steps from her. She stepped into the boardwalk beside Billy and looked up from the paper. Billy looked into liquid brown eyes flecked with gold, and white so clear that it had faint bluish tinges to them, which indicated exceptional vitality. He smiled and tipped his hat, saying, "Howdy." She looked at the side of his jacket that hid the coat, then glanced at his face before entering the mercantile. Billy's eyebrows rose, and his respect for her went up a notch. He said, "She's no pilgrim, this one." When he turned to go into the mercantile, Billy noticed he wasn't the only one following her. 2 men wearing dusters were paying her a lot of attention. The woman talked to the store clerk, who nodded and went to the back of the store. He returned with a plain brown box about 2 feet wide and a foot tall. She paid him and picked up the box, which took both of her hands. Something clinked inside when she turned with it to go out the door. The two men